Greetings, YouTube. This is Fragments of Memory, aka the Armchair Philosopher. And I'm responding to a video from an OtakuAssemble YouTuber. And number one, I like the fact that you're a brother with dreads and you're into comics and sci-fi and things like that. Mad props to you, bro. I can understand your frustration. I can totally understand your frustration as to where you're coming from. You say something nice to a woman, non-sexual, non-flirtatious. Hey, you look nice today, or you know what, you're a good-looking lady. And it seems it's met with derision, it's met with hostility, and you're accused of trying to get somewhere with her or to come online. And I can understand that it's frustrating because sometimes, and I've talked about this in previous vids, where a woman will say one thing, say, I want this thing, I want this thing, and when she's presented with that thing she said she wanted, she goes, oh, I didn't mean like that. Or I don't want it in that way. Or I just don't want it, period. And I as a guy, and probably you as a guy, and many guys out here have probably looked in confusion like, what's going on? And you sort of felt like Michael Jackson playing the Scarecrow in The Wiz, the you can't win syndrome. Like, if I do this, I'm going to get stabbed. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to get shot. So more often than not, as a man, when dealing with women, there is this sort of feeling of, I'm going to war. It's a battlefield. Now, I will disagree with you respectfully that a source of compliment should not be a problem. Well, if there's some old creepy guy and maybe, let's say I'm a 14-year-old girl and maybe some 45-year-old man is talking about how pretty I am, that might be a little unsettling and disturbing, and I might have some thoughts that man may be trying to have his way with me sexually. So that may not be something I want to deal with. But I can understand it is frustration because one of my high school buddies, he gave me the best advice I could ever get on women. He said, women have their own code of honor. Women have their own code of honor. So what's honorable and what's wonderful in her sight and what's good in her sight may not necessarily be good or even logical to us. And I've had to make peace with that. And I still struggle to make peace with that. Even as I get older, I sometimes find myself reflecting back on the past and wondering, I complimented that girl and she got creeped out. I smiled at her and she assumed I was trying to flirt. Or I just said hello because we made eye contact and she thinking I'm trying to smash. And it's not that type of party. But because on the flip side, I can see that women, since they have been teenagers, they reach puberty. There's another YouTuber I noticed that she responded to your vid, and she made the comment that women start puberty a little bit earlier than men, maybe about the age of 11, and men start around 13. So at 11, you have this woman, this young lady blossoming into womanhood. She's developing breasts, she's developing hips and thighs and curves, and now the boys are looking at her differently. But not only the boys looking at her differently, the men are looking at her differently as well. So now she has to sort of deal with that. She has to deal with the politics of, can I be accepted for my intelligence, my speech, my thought, or maybe I be expected of my body? Is it because of my body that I'm getting this attention? So, and sometimes we as men don't always say the best things. I will admit that. I will admit that. I'll be like, I was just sitting in McDonald's and I saw these other two older gentlemen, and a young lady walked by and she had on, she was ample in her backside, and she walked by, and then the dude go, ooh, look at that thing jiggle real loud. And I was like, wow, very crass, very crude. But some guys are like that. This does not exonerate them, but I do want to say that male sexuality, generally speaking, is overt. The very idea, well, number one, our penis is outside. It's not in us, it's out of us. So the fact that our sexual expression and our sexuality is more overt, where a woman's sexuality is covert, where a woman can be turned on and aroused, but she doesn't really overtly show those signs like a man does. Where if a woman thinks a man is attractive, she'll keep her mouth shut. Or if a guy thinks a woman is attractive, he might just scream it to the heavens, and that's how we are wired. Now, I can understand the frustration though, because here I am being the nice guy, being the gentleman, and you brush me off as though I'm one of these common ignorant cats out here that just don't know how to respect women. And mind you, I've had a mother that instilled in me being a gentleman. I was around my younger sister. I was in many situations growing up where I happened to be around more women than men because of what my mother did. Though my father was a presence in my life, my father wasn't a great influence in my life in many respects. You So I can at least acknowledge as a man that I don't understand what it means to be a woman who grows breast, hips, and thighs, and now every dude, even dudes that are inappropriate for her, are checking her out. Because I was the kid that was a guy that wasn't the athlete, wasn't the pretty boy, so I was in the shadows a lot. So people really didn't mess with me, only to say, "Oh, he's weird." But I do understand your frustration. You have a kinsman in your frustration. And women are unfathomable at times, a mystery, an enigma, wrapped up in an anomaly. But you roll with what you can do. Thank you, YouTube. Comment and post. Be easy like Sunday morning.